Hey there, everybody. This is Rob Bechtold from NOLA Smokehouse, bringing you another NOLA Food Podcast. Today on the show, we have Frank Palmasano and Andrew Shuford, the pitmasters from Team March of the Pigs, a Hogs for the Cause competition barbecue team. They also cater around the city and do pop-ups. They're doing whole hog catering, and they're using some really cool ingredients in some of the stuff that they're doing. So we're really excited to have them on the show. Later on in the week, we're going to have Mike Liuzza. He's our first musician. If you want to find out more about Mike, go to bigeasymusic.com, and you can find out more about him. He's also at Orleans Blues Boy on Twitter, so y'all check him out. We're very excited to be going to Toop's Meadery on Thursday and talk to Chef Isaac and Amanda Toops about their small business dreams and maybe some NOLA food tales. So we're really looking forward to that. Y'all sit back, enjoy the show. Work with me on the audio. I'm still trying to figure out the snowball. It seems like I'm either too low or too high, but if y'all can suffer through it, it's a really good show and it has a lot of content, a lot of good heart, a lot of good NOLA stories, and it's good to talk to another pit master out there trying to do the right thing and trying to bring a better quality of food to our city. So here we go with Frank Palmasano and Andrew Shuford, and here we go. Hey everybody, this is Rob Bechtold bringing another NOLA Food Podcast. We have Frank Palmasano and Andrew Shuford here from Hoof and Cleaver, a new caterer, and they also do a pop-up here and there. And they're also part of Team Mop. I guess we're competing against each other this year, a competing team.
Competing with each other.
With each other for the same goal, to have a good time and bring some knowledge about some pediatric brain cancer to everybody and eat some great barbecue.
Yeah, fantastic.
Y'all were part of it last year, right?
Yeah, we're Team March of the Pigs is the full name. Obviously, inspiration from the Nine Inch Nails song, and the fact that the competition takes place in March is where we were going with that. Kind of a double entendre, if you will. But it's a great time. Had a great time last year. Met a great number of people. Had 24 hours of a lot of extremely difficult work that paid off pretty well for us.
If y'all don't know, it started raining probably the day before, right? And it came down, and the entire field looked like a pig pen, so to speak, by the time everybody was doing their load-ins.
Yeah, we luckily didn't have the truck issues that some of the other teams had. We got in and got out.
I got there late at night, and I just saw trenches with people just stuck.
We had one of our guys had to get out and help a team that had a tractor stuck in the mud. It was buried halfway deep, and one of our buddies got out and he was like, "I'll show you how to do it," and tried to get up there, and he couldn't even get the thing out. It was brutal.
I did see some justice. It seemed like the teams that got the best plots, it seemed to be the muddiest right in front of them.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So,
if you were dry cooking, the people weren't dry getting the food.
Yeah. It was great. That next day, there was just cavernous trenches. Kids the parents just let their kids run.
That was the best part is seeing all those kids like chest
sliding through.
Yeah. We one guy, we were towards the end of the thing, we were watching Trouble with Shorty. And this one guy, they had some guys, hydroplaning across these big poles that out there, and our whole team's walking back to our plot, and this guy just takes off, and he belly flops straight into the ground, totally missed the pole. It was probably the funniest thing I saw the whole day.
Ouch.
Yeah, fantastic.
Well, what got y'all started as a team and started smoking together?
Frank and I have cooked in the past before. We both worked at Sunray Grill in Mid-City, like post-Katrina, which was kind of the dark times over there because it was in Mid-City. But we've been friends since the mid-'90s, I guess. Long time. And, I've always done the cooking thing. Frank's, I kind of got him on board a little bit. We did some stuff before working together, and we both kind of just, got into the whole cooking thing, both as a career or an extended hobby, I guess, for either one of us. And I went to Hogs 2 years ago, and I was like, I'm doing this. Like, it was just something that I was like, this is the kind of thing that I like to do. You know, like we do it big for a lot of festivals. It's New Orleans. I mean, like, you get into stuff, you get involved in stuff, and you want to do it. And then the more that I read about the cause, the more I was like, well, it's the best of both worlds. You know, like, yeah. You go out there, you show your worth, you get people to come in. I mean, the biggest thing, the reason that I cook, and I mean, I assume that, you know, you feel the same way, is the appreciation that people show for good food. You know, and if you can bring that food to people and show them, you know, like something either they've never tried or it's a new twist on something that they really enjoy, that moment of like epiphany, if you will, like, oh, I really like something, and just like that instinctive look that somebody gives when they enjoy something. It's just that's what I cook for, you know. And I wanted to do that to a larger group of people than I ever had, you know, because you're drawing in 60 teams worth of people that are coming in to sample all this different food. And if we could do something that would set us apart and do something different and exciting and interesting that people will enjoy, I mean, that's what cooking's all about. Cooking's not. I can have as much fun as I want to smoking meat, but if people aren't enjoying it, then it's not worth the time.
I saw a bunch of smiles out there last year.
Yeah,
so it seemed like a lot of people were having fun.
Yeah. We stayed really busy last year.
Yeah, so we're trying to rectify some of the constant work issues, you know, for this year, but
kind of streamline a little bit.
Yeah, we've you know, and obviously, you know, talking to you and talking to a bunch of the other guys that are on other teams, it's nice to see how they attack it. You know, like, we attack it from like a line cook mentality. You know, like, everything we did last year was set up. You know, like, it was an expediter that would call the orders back. You know, like all the girls that are associated with the team, would be girlfriends or wives, all stood up front. They're taking orders. They're our wait staff, and we kind of ran it that way. And it was efficient for what we did, but it wasn't the most, you know,
conducive to a contest, a competition.
Yeah, so because we'd have to
break for selling food, not really for delivering it to judges.
Yeah, so a couple of our items suffered pretty mightily because, you know, Frank and I couldn't be there to control the final, you know, preparation and stuff like that. We had one guy.
That had to be frustrating.
Our pork butts ended up being more like pork splinters because somebody just took 2 cleavers and went drum roll on them on the cutting board. So, whatever, you know, like, it happens. We kind of let stuff happen because we didn't really we wanted to do a menu item for every category, and we wanted to sell the same thing that we were presenting to the judges. Out of foolish pride, or, you know, like, the fact that we thought that's how we were supposed to do it, we didn't know. You know, it's the first year you roll the dice, and, you know, we're selling so much food that the stuff's working in certain capacities, but when you send, you know, pulled pork to get judged, it's not the same as selling it on a sandwich with sauce.
Right.
So, you know, like, we learned from it. You know, we still had a ton of fun times, and it was totally worth it. It's just you tweak every year.
Yeah, that's definitely a challenge.
Yeah.
You're selling to the public's tasting your food, and it's also a competition.
Yeah.
You know, most barbecue competitions, it's just the competition, and that's all you have to worry about is that little styrofoam plate and making sure it's perfect.
And everything's meticulous and stuff. So we got a good plan for this year. We're still working on some of our recipes and tweaking some of the stuff we did last year. A little more, you know, quality control on the judged items. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, what got y'all to take that concept and turn it into a catering company?
I'd say the Viet Dog.
Well, it was out of request, really. We got, you know, after doing this competition, we got a request to do a party with a whole hog, forwarded to us by some of the hogs guys.
Yeah.
And so we said, well, sure, okay. So then we just kind of snowballed that into a couple other people requesting similar stuff or the same. So we just figured, why not? There's nothing down here for a whole hog.
There is nobody doing it.
Yeah,
it's popular in England, but it's got the foundation to be popular. You know, you got cochon de lait, which is, you know, a regional specialty here, and people love pork use. So it could be a real niche. So we decided to jump in and try and make it happen.
And there's no other catering companies out there doing it. I get asked all the time to be able to do it, and we're a little mom and pop operation. We're not big enough to handle that yet because our pits are what they are, and you have to know what you're doing to handle a whole hog. It's a distinguished piece of meat, and you have to respect it.
Yeah, and it's something that we'd done a couple years ago, that we'd done kind of the good old boy way, cinder block pit, charcoal, which doesn't really present itself well for doing it for public consumption. It's great for backyard barbecues for Sundays during football season, but we just decided if we're going to do this, if we're going to do the competition, I'm the kind of guy, Frank's the kind of guy that when we do something, there's no halfway. There's no all right, we're going to do this, but we're going to cut corners, or we're going to try to do it, but not spend the money that we need to do it to spend it right. So when we did the hogs competition, we're like, we're going to buy a grill that's going to suit us to do whatever we can. So we bought, shout out to BQ Grills in North Carolina, a proper North Carolina style hog roaster. So we can handle, the pig we did for hogs was 217-pound Berkshire hog, which is an enormous piece of meat.
Wow!
Yeah. It looks like the pictures that we have. It looks like a linebacker laid out on a grill. Like the shoulders on the thing are as wide as you or I. It's just enormous.
I don't think I've ever seen a pig that big.
Yeah, and it was one of our other issues. Was we were evidently one of the only teams that had a 150-pound plus pig last year. So a lot of the teams kept coming over and going, "Can we see that thing? Can we see that thing?"
Open it up.
So we'd have to in 30 minutes when we based again, we could open it up and see it. So, but we bought the grill, and we decided if we're going to do this, we're going to do it right. So we have this proper toe behind grill, and we're like, well, if we're going to do this, why don't we hone what we're doing? Kind of instead of just doing traditional Louisiana cochon de lait. We're both huge fans of Asian cuisine. From Indian all the way over Chinese, Filipino, the whole.
Myself, it's my favorite ingredient.
Yeah, it's so fresh. It's so different than Western stuff that we both always enjoyed using those styles as a base. So we're like, the more you research it, the more that you look, and it's South Louisiana, the Caribbean, American South in total, not just Louisiana. And then if you look to the Far East, pig roasts have always been.
They've always been there.
Yeah, it's an indigenous food item that's everywhere. There's not just one place that that's what you do, or it's not gooey duck where you're only going to get it on one island in one place. Everybody does it, and it's their own different way. So we figured if we like doing Asian food and we like doing whole hogs, why can't we try to meld a lot of those different styles together and do stuff that's it's not only different for people to see anybody doing a whole hog roast, period, but do it to where they have options, where it's not just you're getting Memphis-style barbecue sauce, Cajun rub, and on down the line. You can have, Hawaiian-style where we do a pineapple-based barbecue sauce, with a lot of different stuff and a lot of cilantro, stuff like that.
Yeah, I saw on your website you have different types of pig roasts that you're doing on for the catering.
We actually did
the Hawaiian style.
The first one that we did was a luau style, which was we did a completely different. We did an injection on that one, a couple different ingredients, to kind of promote those flavors. Different rub, and everything is nuanced. We don't do. There's not one thing that we do that crosses over into all those hogs. Aside from maybe salt and pepper or stuff like that, individual ingredients might, but not. There's no one catch-all. We're not using the same brine for every pig. It's each going to have
own brine,
specifics,
own brine, own rub,
own sauces.
Yes, and we've done tons of research on the little differences between what's the difference between a Hawaiian pig and a Filipino pig. Even the way that you present the ingredients or the way that you prepare the ingredients into whatever you're doing. All those little things make a world of difference, and that's what we've tried to do. Is we've tried to combine something that is a labor-intensive, time-intensive process, and take that and be able to present it to people in whatever manner they think they would enjoy the most, without having any difference in the presentation aside from the flavor. And it allows people the capability to pick and choose what they want to do. We're talking to a couple people about some parties that we have upcoming, and they want, kind of the combination of the Memphis-style, North Carolina-style barbecue with more cochon de lait flavor, which those two things, kind of work together, but with different twists on what we do. And we pride ourselves on being able to take the normal and twist it enough to where you realize what it is, you understand the concept, but it's not flavor that you're used to seeing. And
it's hitting different notes that you haven't tasted before.
I guess it's what everybody in the restaurant industry strives to do is get people to understand what they're eating, but throw them a curveball at the last second that makes them go that's awesome.
That's unique, and that's different than what I can get down the street.
But at the same time, we don't do like we just throw crazy stuff at you because it's crazy and different. It's everything's there for a reason.
Right. And y'all won second place in the Potpourri last year for the Viet Dog, which takes those Asian flavors and kind of mixes it together.
Yeah, we really it took a while to get that. The Potpourri is a creative category, so we had to come up with something creative, and we knew we wanted to be festival fare.
It's also the only category that we can prep in advance for the competition.
Right. Yeah. And so we just ran with the hot dog theme, made our own hot dogs, we marinated our own pork and ground it up, cased it up, and prepared it for the event. And then we used for the bun, which was really interesting and caught the eye, which was great, was went to Dong Fung and got them to make some custom rolls for us. And then we made them out of steam buns, like they typically do their stuffed steam buns. We got them to make our hot dog buns out of this.
Oh, wow.
So it's bright green, they color it green. So they're bright green, and we got pickled carrots on there, the orange pop, and the mustard. I mean, it
stood out more than flavor notwithstanding, because the recipe that we have for the Vietnamese marinated pork is phenomenal. It's a great family recipe that we got from a friend's grandmother. But the presentation of it, that when we finally settled on doing the Viet Dog, one of the things we were going to do our own steam buns, which is kind of a labor-intensive process in and of itself, because it's not bread, it's not, it's a whole different world. And we got it pretty close, but we were like, we could do this to 75% of the capacity that Dong Fong could do it. And the more we thought about it, the more we were like, there's your green. How awesome is that going to look? It's not going to be, we can do a plain white steam bun, we can even add green color to it, but if it's so consistent and so perfect, because Dong Fong, I've never had anything bad from Dong Fong, and it was just it was the perfect balance of flavor and fluffiness and color that it just made sense for us to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, sometimes you just have to bow down and know what you're okay at and when somebody's just really good at.
Sure. If you can't do it better, source it locally and get it done better.
If I would have had to order them from somewhere else, I'd been no, we're doing them ourselves. But it's a 15-minute ride down to the east, and I get to buy other steam buns when I'm there. It's a win-win. So,
what was the first thing that you smoked, Andrew? Either personally or
it'd have to be a pork butt, I would assume, or maybe ribs.
Right.
It's one of the two.
I've been asking some of the pit masters. Larry Burr the other day said that his first try was chicken. My first try was a pork butt on a little bitty Weber. I think it was a little 12-inch.
Yeah.
And so I always like to ask.
I did a lot of cheater smoking at one of the restaurants that I worked at, remain nameless. We used to do smoked prime rib. And it was an Alto Sham, and it was the chip box. So it wasn't like liquid smoke, fake smoke, but not full wood on build your own fire smoking. But I think pork butt was definitely the first thing that I did.
There's a definite love, I think, with pit masters, and there's a love with the flame and the time that it takes. And
it's the building a contained campfire. If you love the outdoors, you love the smell of smoke.
Yeah.
Why not cook? With real wood. Why not go out and get flavorful, delicious smelling pecan wood or apple wood or whatever, and use that as your basis for smoke? We've had some great times sitting around at 3 o'clock in the morning playing.
Yeah, and smoking is extremely conducive to drinking.
Yeah.
Once you get it going, you can pour yourself a cocktail and hang out, just watch the fire and play with knives.
Yeah,
I can't wait to do a Friday night at Hogs. It seems that's the night. We didn't stay last time. We dropped off the pits and kind of went home and got some rest and came back. But it seems like that's the night where everything goes down, all the magic.
It was a ton of fun, and supposedly Becker and Renee have tons of stuff that's going to be. It's going to turn Friday more into a full party than it was for the teams. But we had a ton of fun last year with the Eleanor Pigby team that was next to us. Bunch of college-age kids that were just out there to have fun, smoke. So they had some pretty decent equipment, but you could tell they were more in it for the party than they were for the food.
Yeah.
And they're shotgunning beers, and everybody's running around talking to each other or whatever. talk to a couple other teams. It's just a great time. It's camaraderie. It's everybody coming together for, pardon the pun, but the same cause. Like, it's not just about, like, it's obviously the end result is about the hogs for the cause, but the building of friendships and learning, like, what other people are doing, seeing different techniques and meeting new people. I mean, that's what it's all about. New Orleans is such a tight-knit food community. No one pulls against anyone. Everybody, I do smoked pork, you do smoked pork, but I want both of us to succeed just the same. There's enough business for everybody to go around. I don't want to, $1 million smoking pigs, that's a pipe dream. I just want everybody, if you're doing good stuff, there's a room enough for everybody to do good stuff together.
I agree with that. And New Orleans has really been blowing up with barbecue, especially in the past 2 years since I stopped working at big name restaurants and I started doing this on my own. And I thought there was a big hole. Now the hole's not that big anymore.
It's filling.
It's definitely filling up. And I think it's great that people see that you can really do quality smoke out there, and there's something other than the corkies. But you definitely still have to look for it. You have to look for the pop-ups. It hasn't become such a draw to where there's one popping up every month.
It's definitely the one thing New Orleans was like blatantly missing. Like, and all the stuff that we did, especially like you were saying with the whole hogs that we do and stuff. It's for as big of a pork culture and as big of like the boucherie is part of Louisiana. It's always lacked here in New Orleans. It's amazing. There's pork filling every menu in the city, and it's always been a staple of Louisiana food. But no one's done that hybrid of like a boucherie, traditional Acadian style hog with like the Memphis style, like slow smoked, low and slow,
dry rub
barbecue, and the things just work so well together. Pork is such a flavorful, fat filled, delicious meat. Like why do it any other way? It's great to grill, and there's definitely a place for the pork chops and the pork loins of the world, but like there's something about like a awesome black bark pork butt when it comes off the grill. When you pull that thing out, you see the steam and you just see how moist it is inside.
You see it pink all the way through.
It's a visceral masculine feeling. You're taking something that looked like a hunk of muscle and you're turning it into this delicious, burnt looking but delicious tasting thing. It's incredible.
Where did you learn a lot about smoking? Did you just self-taught?
Yeah, just doing.
Right.
I don't have any. I'm a Yankee by trade. I was born in Jersey, so I don't have barbecue running through my blood. My dad's family is from North Carolina. He was born in Asheville, so I guess that's a little bit barbecue country. But there was none of that passed down. I didn't spend 8 hours outside smoking a pork butt with my dad when I was young. I spent it watching Yankee baseball. It's just something that the more that you learn about food, the more you want to get back to the roots of food in order to build the knowledge of what you do. Why has something happened for hundreds of years if we're not going to continue? If we're not going to go back to what made food what it was to build our knowledge of it? This sounds convoluted, but you need to go back to where it began to learn to where you're going.
Sure.
So
there was a reason there was a smokehouse on everyone's property. It made sense.
Yeah, it was.
It fed your family.
Yeah, and we've you and I have both gone through tons of the whole smokehouse charcuterie preservation aspect of it, and I know a lot of the terms that are common in the food world now it lose a little bit of luster every time somebody uses them. The buzzwords heritage breed or heirloom or doing it the right way. But a lot of people do it the right way, but they don't do it the right way for the right reason. And you got to want to do it to get it back to the way that it's supposed to be, not just to do it so that you can adapt to what's popular at the time. Like I said, there's a reason that things have been popular for hundreds of years. It's not because that's what the customers always want. It's because it's the best way to do it, or a great way to do it. And that's one of the things that we've really focused in on is break yourself down to the point where you're learning the basics inside and out, and then build back up, and you're able to figure out where flavors play into things more if you're starting from block one than if you are well, I've done this 100 times and I want to just start from the middle because I know that's where I can, shortcut or whatever. But if you start it from the beginning, you can play with that flavor more. And we've kind of adapted that philosophy into everything that we do. When we were talking about the Dong Fong thing, we have a friend of mine that's a pastry chef who he'll do, whatever we want to do for bread and whatever that, where that is, and he doesn't, the right way. He doesn't just shortcut it and go like, I'm going to use a sourdough starter if you want another bread. He's going to build what we need from the ground up so that it matches flavor. One of the pop-ups that we did was a chorizo slider. We ground our own chorizo, and we got him to make a masa hearth bread. So like that cornmeal, like the fine cornmeal that you do tortillas out of, he did that, but he baked it into the bread with a little bit of honey and some other stuff. I don't even know everything that he put in there.
Sounds delicious.
Yeah, but the chorizo is a Spanish-influenced dish. Masa is a Spanish-influenced ingredient. You take something that where instead of just doing, okay, we can do corn tortillas because it's the same principle, same masa, works together. But if you do something that is a different presentation that presents itself with different ingredients, it works out, better in the long run. The dish came out fantastic, partially because of like that little bitter masa flavor mixed with the honey and then the spice of the chorizo. You can't do that if you cut it halfway. You gotta go back to the beginning and start from point A to get to where you want to go.
Right. We could have just slapped some ciabatta on it and called it a day, but no, we want to really incorporate all the facets of the whole dish into that whole flavor profile.
Yeah.
And that's what's making everybody different from everybody else.
Yeah.
Those nuances that y'all are using in your barbecue, I'm not using in my barbecue.
Yeah.
I'm using other nuances, and that's why there's definitely room in this city for different barbecue places and different places that sell smoked meat or charcuteries or doing the whole hogs. I definitely believe that it's out there, but it hasn't reached the 100th monkey yet, where everybody knows about it and everybody's loving barbecue in New Orleans. I don't feel like it's reached that pinnacle yet.
Yeah, especially for our stuff, because we try to do more of like the mix of like Americana, ground meat patties, cased hot dogs, stuff like that. The traditional German food that got transferred over to America and then adapted for American palates and stuff like that. We've kind of adapted that, and we do, a lot of like slider-based stuff, or we'll do like we said, the chorizo, where we grind our own chorizo, and it's kind of an American presentation, but with completely different flavors. And that, and you're doing, like awesome smoked like barbecue. There's a similar vein in there, and like both could cross over, but they're never gonna. It's not going to be like Porky's and Voodoo, where it's you're getting smoked pulled pork, smoked brisket. There's going to be like different stuff. Like I know you do the smoked beef tongue and stuff like that. You're not going to get that walking into probably any barbecue joint in the country.
Smoked hanger steak is another one that's just I can't keep it on. I had 30 pounds of it, and I sold it by Sunday by 6 o'clock.
Yeah,
just sold out. People in this town know hanger steak just because a lot of places started using it back in the 80s and 90s because it was cheaper, and a lot of chefs would love to use that. I remember being at Degas and they called it anglette steak, and gave it a fancy name, but I saw that it was coming in from carriage at $4 a pound, and it was a pain in the ass to butcher. But I mean, the flavor that you get from I use a little pecan, a little apple. Yeah, that gives it a whole nother sweetness. And then I do it like a tri-tip. I'll char it real hard on the grill, slice it against the grain, and then it just melts in your mouth.
I mean, I'll eat that in a heartbeat. It's that's the thing I
think that's what the pop-ups are doing. We're pushing the boundaries. We don't have the rules. Like with the podcast, we don't have rules. Yeah. With the pop-ups, we don't have rules. I don't have a chef over my shoulder saying that doesn't make sense. Yeah. I'm saying, hey, let's try it.
That's one of the things where he and I have always been where we work together. Place will remain nameless. We had a boss that our direct boss, not the person at the end of the line, who didn't know a bloody thing about food. Like, didn't know a damn thing. The guy would eat parsley and salt out of the bottom of the fry tossing bowl. He once chastised me for going to a Vietnamese restaurant because they served their food on French bread. Like, no concept of, like,
banh mi.
The reason the Vietnamese use French bread is because it was French province for a while.
Yeah.
Like, no concept of like the roots of food and whatever. And that's when he and I started getting to the point where we're like, why are we listening to other people? Like, I mean, not other people, but why are we listening to people that are just there for the bottom line? Like I want to make money.
Yeah.
I'm not going to mince words about that. Like, I'm in this because
Sure.
I'd like to do it as a career, but I want to do it because I want personal gratification. Like, I want to be able to do things that I want to do. I want to be able to go, and make some off the wall thing that may or may not suck. But I want to test things out for myself. I don't want somebody to tell me you can't do that.
Right.
And doing the hoof and cleaver stuff and being able to go out there and to if he and I get a wild hair up our ass and we want to just let's see what we can do with sugar cane. We can do that. And if something works out awesome, one of our best things was a complete fuck up. We made the sauce that was actually on our Viet Dog last year was a mustard-based barbecue sauce. We call it deli mustard, like New Delhi, India, because it's got a lot of like Indian influence in the sauce. But it's a mustard, at its base, it's a mustard-based barbecue sauce, which is not foreign to the barbecue world at all. We made the thing at probably 2 o'clock in the morning. We did a dry run. We did our final full cook everything for Hogs for the Cause was in late January. It was the Sunday after the Hogs for the Cause plot draft last year. And we had friends in Tennessee. We invited basically everyone. We probably had 100 people in my backyard.
Yeah.
We had 3 smokers going, cooking butts, cooking ribs, cooking whole hog. And it was basically like a dry ballot. We're going to put out, tell us what you like, what you don't like. I don't want to get patted on the back. Don't tell me, this is the best food I've ever had. If it sucks, tell me it sucks because I'm not going to get better if we don't. So at 2 o'clock in the morning the night before, everybody's drinking, having a good time, and we make what can only be called an abortion of a mustard sauce.
Yeah.
Like, it is probably the worst barbecue sauce I've ever put in my mouth.
We already had a pretty good one.
We
were like, well, let's try this other one. I think it would make do it a little bit better. And it just
tweaked it into
god awful, terrible. But so we've got like this 6-pan of mustard barbecue sauce sitting there, and we probably made 6 vinegar sauces, 4 traditional like tomato-based barbecue sauces, and probably 4 mustard-based barbecue sauces. And we're just trying different stuff, different vinegars, different, like all the little stuff that we can. And this thing, we're finishing up all the other sauces. And basically we'd all gone, that's trash. It's getting sat there and we're not going to touch it. And the more that we looked at it, we were like, we can fix this.
And we're like, well, let's put a little of this.
If we tweak it just a little more.
And then we said, we kept tasting it. We said, you know what? Let's add that.
Yeah.
And as soon as we said it, we put it in, and it was gold. I mean, it's delicious.
2 ingredients, and it was just like the world of difference.
Right.
And it is our favorite sauce that we make.
And it brought it completely around to where
and that's the thing is like had I worked for somebody, been in an environment where it was all about the bottom line, there would have been no creation. It would have been, that sucks, move on to the next thing and do what you know. And that's what it's all about. It's let me do what I do, and if something's trash, I'm playing with my money now. I'm not playing with the house money. So if I screw it up, it's on me. I'll waste the $6. But it turns out that out of terrible things, great things are sometimes born. And that one item worked out for us. So next time you're on the Hoof and Cleaver pop-up, try the deli mustard.
I can't wait. That sounds really good. Yeah, I think the whole corporate scene is a lot of chefs get wrapped up in it, and I think there comes a point where you say, hey, am I going to make that step to do something else? Am I gonna test myself and say, hey, what am I going to do? I felt that at 40. I was like, I came back to the city after being blown away from the storm, and I said, hey, man, I can do this. I can suck it up. I can tweak my integrity a little bit and maybe let some things go out that, I'm just going to put my head down and make $1. Or I could come back to the city and try to do something.
Yeah.
And I love New Orleans for being the kind of city to where we can do pop-ups and we can do things on social media that, creates a business.
Yeah.
We've created a small business network from social media around culinary. A lot of the independent chefs that I have on this program are part of that. Well, you're part of that. That's great.
One of the things that I never thought I'd get wrapped up in was Twitter. Like one of my friends told me 2 years ago, dude, this Twitter thing's pretty awesome, man. It's not like Facebook. You're directly connecting with people. When people are hearing you and stuff like that. And, Facebook over the past couple of years has been more like picture book. You go on there because you see pictures of people's kids.
Right.
Or funny stuff from the internet or whatever. And it's got a place. Like I definitely still use it, and we use it for Hoof and Cleaver a good bit, but I got on the Twitter bus like that, and I was like, this is fantastic. Like, this is, it's everything. Obviously the team, I had my own personal account, and I kind of let it go because I wasn't really using it. And then when we started doing the Hogs thing, you had this built-in network of people that were like-minded. And I meet people like you on Twitter. I meet people like Adam from Company Burger. That was my first involvement with one of these people. Is you see a screen name, and then you start putting faces with names, and you understand their personality, and it allows you to connect to do different stuff that you wouldn't have normally done, otherwise. And then it allows me a huge forum to bitch about Saints games.
Right.
That's the main forum.
That's on Sundays. The team up kind of takes a backseat to my Saints rants.
You blackened out. There's a Darius out there. There's a Jolines. There's a whole group of people. I can't wait when the Saints do a turnaround, especially on the negative, and jump on there. And y'all are very vocal about your opinions about referees and such.
Yeah, and the great thing is when I travel, if I go on vacation or whatever. There is someone that I am connected with on Twitter in some way that's been the place that I'm going.
Mm-hmm.
Undoubtedly, if I'm going to Germany this weekend, and I guarantee if I ask, give me a good restaurant in Germany, somebody on there will know. So it's personally gratifying and professionally gratifying because you have this built-in network of people that are like-minded, that want to do good food, that want to be involved in the growing food culture. Like the up-and-comers, not the ingrained food culture of the city, the people that are just starting out. They're all on there, and it's just like this network that cradles everybody. Obviously, you're competing for the same dollars, but you're not competing against one another. You're trying to do it, and we've had tons of people from Hogs or that we're friends with on Facebook and Twitter come out and support us for no other reason than they saw us using that as a means to communicate. And it's amazing. In the abstract, a lot of the social media stuff seems very vapid. It seems very you're not really connecting with people. But if you find the right group of people, it is an unbelievable tool.
I've worked real hard for my followers and the people I follow, trying to weed out BS and trying to have people in there that retweet you and actually support you.
Yeah.
And there's enough foodies in this town to definitely do that.
Yeah.
And there's people like Vazu out there who'll go to McClure's and he'll go to us and he goes to the joint. The dude eats more barbecue than I've ever seen any human being eat. But he spreads it around.
Yeah.
He's not just going to one place and saying, hey, this is my favorite barbecue place, and that's it. He understands, and like you were talking about those nuances, about hitting those different notes.
Yeah. So, and I just view you as the social media guru. You're everywhere.
I had no idea what I was doing when I started this.
Yeah.
I'd be honest with you. When we started Smoking Buddha, we didn't have any money for advertising. We had no money for marketing or anything. So I was the only thing I had was social media.
Yeah, it's free.
I got on a forum, pissed some people off about barbecue, and next thing you know, I had foodies following me because they wanted to know if I was going to piss somebody else off.
Yeah.
Nothing draws the crowd like the crowd.
Forum. It was from the Blues and Barbecue and Blues Festival.
Yeah.
I read that one.
And I figured if I was going to start a fire and get people to notice me, I started a fire.
There is a place for it. And the thing about it is, if you call somebody out on something they're not doing right, then you're not wrong.
Right. And I was talking as a customer at that point.
Yeah.
I wasn't in the mix. I didn't have a restaurant. I didn't have a catering company. We had popped up at the Dragon's Den once or twice. Mm-hmm. But I was upset as a customer of the lack of quality barbecue I got at a barbecue festival.
Yeah.
You know, and if we're going to move this forward, we have to put out our best.
Yeah.
You know, we can't put out cold, lukewarm bullshit barbecue.
One of the problems with that, New Orleans is an unbelievable festival town. Like you and I have had tons of discussions about this. Fantastic festival. I went to Nashville last weekend. I won tickets to the Southern Ground Music and Food Festival, which is Zach Brown thing. He's got a chef that like goes around with him. Dude, I mean, the guy, like his music or not, he's got his head on right. Like he good old Southern boy, makes his own knives, you know, makes his own, has a chef on staff, makes a lot of his own barbecue ingredients. Like the dude, if you're looking for like the quintessential picture of a Southern dude, like that's it. You know, like he understands where everything's going. But I go there, and it's probably an area as big as Waldenburg Park. All right, so you're not talking about a huge swath of land, and it's like this teardrop-shaped piece of land right on the Cumberland River in Nashville, and it's right there by Broadway, which is like the Bourbon Street of Nashville. I mean that in the nicest way possible. But so we're sitting there, and my wife and I walk in, and there's 8 or 10 food trucks that are there, and we're looking up and down. Some of the food looks pretty good, and we're looking around. There's no one else there. Like we're like, what's going on? And as the day progressed, it got bigger and bigger, but it never got to the point where it felt like a festival here. The problem with the festivals in New Orleans, they're huge, which sometimes lends itself to a lack of quality. And like stuff like the Barbecue and Blues Festival, if you don't get the right people in to start out with that we're going to do quality stuff, you run the risk of just becoming another festival. And I think one of the prime examples of that, and I've only been 2 or 3 times because I had my kid 2 years ago, so it kind of doesn't lend itself to doing that, is the Po' Boy Festival, where it grew from this tiny little thing where a bunch of guys were doing, creative, innovative po' boys, and it now is this enormous festival. And people are doing stuff that's different and doing, the best of what that medium can be. And I think that, if you don't start off the right way, if you just start a festival for the sake of starting a festival, and you don't promote that food, you run the risk of just, undermining yourself by not promoting something that could be one of the biggest things. There's so many people in this town that are willing to do stuff out of their box and out of something that they consider normal to do something different and create with food, that there's no excuse for doing stuff the wrong way. There's no excuse for having poor, everybody can make a bad dish. You can have a bad day. You can go out and have a piece of equipment break down and not have stuff not work out. But there's no reason to have people that are doing all of the stuff, presentation the right way, but not doing the food the right way.
Well, a lot of the people, the argument was that it was a festival. You're not going to get somebody's best. I put out my best at that festival last year. I served 3,000 items of food, and I knew every one of those items was perfect, or we threw it in the trash. I knew that I put my heart into it, and that's why it was a little disappointing. And it's not the festival's fault. They do Jazz and Heritage Festival with the same people, and we know what the food's like there. So we have to take it on ourselves at Pitmasters if we're going to enter a barbecue festival, that we're going to bring it. We're going to have perfect ribs, and if it's not perfect, I'm not just going to sell it because I have to sell it.
It's really easy to see, there's going to be 2,000 people there. I'm going to make some cash. It's extremely easy to do that.
Oh, the money was there. It was a lot of hard work, but the money was there.
So in order to do it and reap the full benefit of it, you got to do it the right way. Because if you go out there and you sell nachos, are you doing anything aside from heating up nacho cheese and taking chips out of a bag? It's not the same as doing it the whole way. And you're not going to get professionally the same gratification that you would if you did it the right way.
And people aren't going to come the next year if they're not thinking that they're getting your best. If they're getting, I'm sorry, there's nothing worse than some cold pulled pork on a bun that's not toasted with some cold sauce. Pork gets gelatinous. You know what I'm saying? It has a lot of fat. If that fat doesn't stay warm and succulent and around the pork, then you got some issues. It's not going to be a good mouthfeel.
It's base level. It's not going to. You'll get little nuggets of delicious pork fat that look like jello. You know,
and,
like it's.
And that's the one thing with Jazz Fest. You have a little bit of a cushion. You know, you have so many different varieties of things.
Yeah.
At the Blues and Barbecue Festival, you got barbecue.
Yeah.
You know, and you better bring it.
Yeah.
You know, and I wasn't able to participate this year because we didn't have a storefront. Hopefully, that's coming in this soon. Any investors out there, holler at me. But we definitely want to participate in things like that. We did a demonstration at Jazz Fest last year and got a lot of feedback off of that. So it's great exposure to hook up with things like that, and they really support, you know, small business people like ourselves that are out there trying to do something.
Yeah, it's because everybody that's one of the big hitters in the city started out. You know, like the traditional like big hitters and stuff. Like you look at Willie Mays. Willie Mays has always been a small business. You know, like, but they've made a national name for themselves by doing something really well.
And they haven't expanded into this huge thing like Drago's. You know, it's a compound now.
Yeah.
It started off as a little restaurant. Now it's a compound.
Yeah.
Willie Mays kept it small.
Yeah, and I mean Dookie Chase same way. Like, you know, Leah Chase probably had a very similar, yet probably not as vulgar conversations we're having right now, you know, when she started out. Like, her goal is to put out the best food that she possibly can, and that's why Leah Chase is the shit. You know, like, she knows exactly what she wants, like her food or not. I mean, like, she does what she thinks is the best of whatever she can put out. You know,
and that's how her family taught her how to do it, and that's what, you know.
It goes back to the roots of food. You go back to where it began, you learn the right way to do things, and you can do whatever you want.
Sure, got the rules. Well, what future things do y'all have in store?
Well, we got let's see, we have another pop up coming up on the 19th.
Where's that at?
October at the Rusty Nail.
Okay,
that's Friday. The following day we have Japan Fest, little known festival at NOMA, Noma's Museum of Art, and they do some traditional things out there, and they asked us to participate actually. So we're pretty excited about it, and we're going to do some fusion, for lack of a better word. We're going to try to mix some styles and mix some different flavors and make something happen that's a little bit interesting out there, and serve it and see how it tastes. And then on the 14th of October,
I think it's, hold on, let me double
check. No, it's the 14th at 7 on WYES. We'll be a part of that. There's a Vietnamese documentary about New Orleans. And that's going to be, I think it's
specifically about Vietnamese food.
Food in New Orleans.
Yeah, food
and we're a part of that with the Viet Dog.
And y'all got interviewed at Hogs for the Cause last year?
Yes. Right. Yeah, so, towards the end of the competition in total.
After a long day and night of smoking and drinking?
About 27 hours after we started.
Yeah.
With about 45 minutes of sleep combined. Yeah.
A little sleep, a lot of cocktails, a lot of smoke. We made it happen.
Yeah, so we have not seen it yet, but we will be featured.
Yeah.
Take it for what it's worth. But yeah, it's on the 14th, and then they're going to replay it. If you can't see it on the 14th, it is on the 20th, I think?
I think it's the 20th at the same time. 7.
I've got so many emails. It is on the 20th at 7 p.m. as well. So yeah, it'll be on the 14th and the 20th of October. And like Frank said, we're doing the pop-up again the 19th, and then we're going to try to do at least one a month, depending on... So we lost a lot of product in Isaac, so we're trying to recover some perishables that we're not able to hold on to through a week's worth of no power.
So if people want to get in touch with y'all and find out more about y'all and get information?
We are, if you go to www.hoofandcleaver, that's A-N-D spelled out, .com, all of our information is on there. You can contact us directly from the website. We're also on Twitter at @hoofandcleaver and on Facebook, facebook.com/hoofandcleaver.
Well, that's awesome. Thanks so much, guys, for coming in. It's gonna be fun. March 24th coming up, and I hope one of us is a winner, maybe, and we could get back on the podcast and bring the brass pig and rub his butt. I would love that. That would be fantastic. But thanks for coming on NOLA Food Podcast, and y'all stay hungry, NOLA.